Sister Megan Rice is a lovely advocate for peace. She's not in favor of nuclear war. Now, as a nun, that makes a lot of sense. She's devoted a long career to activism in favor of peace, love, etc. She was joined by two other Catholic activists for peace, Greg Boertje-Obed and Michael Walli. And I'm going to tell you what they did in a second, but first let me give you some background on them. Rice became a sister in the Society of the Holy Child Jesus at the age of 18 and served for 40 years as a missionary in Western Africa teaching science. I literally don't know anyone anywhere near that good. Okay, I mean, that's as moral as it gets, right? Walli served 2 tours in Vietnam before returning to the U.S. and dedicating his life to peace and serving the poor. And then Boertje-Obed also served in the army before committing himself to a life of service and peace. So pretty decent folks all around, very religious, all devout Catholics. So they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to break into what is known as the Fort Knox of uranium to make a message, basically, that you should not be proliferating nuclear weapons. Okay. Now, it's a message that a lot of people agree with, and it was just a message. It's not like they were going to take the uranium or do anything with it. But it was ballsy. I mean, breaking into something that, like I said, is considered the Fort Knox of uranium, the most secure plant that we had. It was the primary storehouse for our bomb-grade uranium. It's a Y-12 national security complex. It's in Oak Ridge. And so people thought there's no way that people could break it. It turns out there's a way. They actually broke through 3 different fences and reached the $548 million storage bunker. Okay, they did not reach the uranium. They could not have gotten their hands on the actual bomb-making equipment, so there's no need to panic over that, right? And the security contractor was very rightfully fired. When an 84-year-old nun and her 2 peace activists break in to the most secure complex we have storing uranium, that's a bit of a security issue. There's no question about that. Luckily, of course, they had no bad intent. In fact, here's what they did. They hung banners, strung crime scene tape, splashed blood on the wall, and painted slogans on the side of the highly enriched uranium materials facility. I wouldn't have gone with the blood, but I'm not a peace activist, right? And certainly they didn't mean any bad intent in terms of taking the uranium, right? But one of the things that the judge mentioned was, well, look, you did some damage to the property. That's fair, and that's true. And obviously you can't break into this facility. That's illegal. That's true as well. And he said, you've damaged the mystique of the complex. But wait a minute, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You were supposed to secure it because I got past your security. Oh, I'm sorry, have I damaged the mystique? Well, they kind of wanted to damage the mystique. They don't want us making all that bomb-grade uranium so that at some point we might use it, right? So that's their whole point. Well, so how much did they get? I mean, she's 84 years old. They're not going to give her much time, obviously, right? And obviously they weren't doing this to, enrich themselves or to cause damage or anything like that. Sister Megan Rice got under 3 years in prison, which is a significant sentence, obviously, for an 84-year-old. And the other 2 activists got over 5 years in prison. And one of them is 65 years old. They're all in that same ballpark. And they will also spend 3 years on supervised probation once they are released. Those are pretty heavy prison sentences for these people, okay? And if that wasn't enough, $53,000 in restitution that they have to pay. Look, the $53,000 I can live with because they did cause that damage and they do have to fix it up. The prison sentences, I think, are significant. Now, they're Catholics, they're religious, and so there's a lot that I don't agree with them on. I wouldn't have done this strategy. I like what their intentions are. I think their heart's in the right place. I wouldn't have gone in this direction, and it is breaking the law. So $53,000 in restitution, probation, I think that makes some sense. You're really going to lock her up for about 3 years? She's already been sitting in prison for 9 months awaiting the trial. She's not rich. She's a Catholic nun. She can't just say, oh, okay, here's my bail, and I'm gone, right? And they say, oh, she's a big danger, etc. You know what she asked to do during the trial? At the end, she asked to sing to lighten the mood. Okay, now, God bless the judge. She said, yeah, go ahead, sing. They sang a song, and I guess it did lighten the mood. And then the others said that it was a miracle that they were able to break into the complex. Again, not being a religious person, I don't think it was a miracle at all. I think it was just bad security. Michael Walli says, I was acting upon my God-given obligations as a follower of Jesus Christ. I make no apology. I have no sense of remorse or shame. I would do it again. So that cuts both ways. Now, if I'm the judge and you say you do it again, I say, well, Michael, what are you doing here? You're not leaving me much choice. Then I got to lock you up so you don't do it again, right? So I understand that. At the same time, look at this, man. You know, we see so many bad examples of religious people doing fundamentalism, extremism, discrimination, hatred, etc. Now, here are three religious folks who say, I think that as a follower of Jesus Christ, I must make sure that there's peace and love in the world. Isn't that refreshing? Isn't that terrific? So what a great moral lesson for Christians out there on doing the right thing. Again, you can disagree on the trespassing and the breaking in, etc., and the way that they did it. But you can't disagree that it's refreshing to have nuns and religious leaders actually fighting their whole lives for people who are in need and to make sure that we have peace in this world.